Okay, welcome back, all sports ranters. Introducing our hosts, Jacob, Nico, and Drew, and Ben. And we have finalized our fantasy football season, folks, and that is it. And at the helm for our league, right here, Mr. Nico wins this league for the
Finally.
first time in a decade. I don't know why I like using the word decade, but that's the word I want to use. Jake, to you as well. You guys both commissioned the league, and it must be feel good to commission the league and also. But I want to go here. It must be nice to commission a league and also win it. It shows the truth of a real manager. But look right here. This is Nico right here, winning in true fashion. 187 points coming out on a championship game. I think you're the highest scorer, so that's one of the highest scores. Or you were obviously the highest scorer out of everybody. Jake, right here as well. Lamamaniacs. You also win. You guys both have CD Lamb, correct?
Correct.
So that is right. And real quick, like I said, a small thing on the back for me. I'm right here at the top of my 10 team league. I was the
Hey, no
highest
small thing,
score.
Ben.
Hey,
Congrats,
I
baby. No
won it
small
as
thing.
well. I got my payout. It's nice to be. I love being invited to a league for the first time and when winning it. That's my favorite thing ever. So I probably won't get invited again. But it's okay. Drew, uh, sorry, man, if things were a little dry for you this year. Normally, it's not, correct?
That is not normally the case, but that's fine. We got to let these guys get their shine every once in a while. I'll be back.
I just want to put this out there. I remember when you used to talk a lot of smack to me too, when I found my way out of the playoffs. It was during that time when I had a kid too. Okay, and just being focused into being a dad. So don't worry, I feel you. It's not an excuse. Okay, but I understand what you're going through. Nico, tell us a little bit about your season, man, and what happened for you to get up to the top.
Um, you know what? I've explained a couple times, but I mean, I went and looked at my draft board again. Um, and I went with a lot of, I think, safe, like high floor type of guys, not necessarily high ceiling guys. And what I mean by that, you got like Ayuk, Jacoby Myers. I traded for Garrett Wilson. Thank you, Andrew. So I had guys that, other than CeeDee Lamb, I don't get me wrong, CeeDee Lamb was a beast, but like you can't win the league with one guy. Like it's roster construction. So with CeeDee Lamb giving me 25, I didn't have Christian McCaffrey, I didn't have like other studs like that. So I had Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey, who in the playoffs, like I heard it this morning, they went over the top playoff performers, like as far as for each position, the last 3 weeks, right? Fantasy playoffs. So fantasy playoffs, who were the fantasy playoffs MVPs? Who did you ride the last 3 weeks to win your championship? And Mahomes was the 17th graded, rated quarterback. Kelsey was, I don't even think he was in the top 10. So my high draft picks like that didn't pan out, but having those high floor guys, and I mentioned this a lot in the middle of the season to Andrew when he was complaining all about all his losses. Um, my team was just consistent, like I'd scored 140 every week, 150 every week. Very rarely was I under the 100 mark. I don't even know if I got under 100 once, maybe, but I was just every game I had that. I was in every game. Like if I got blown out, is because the guy went off, but I never got blown out because my team shit the bed. So I liked having those high floor guys. Again, it comes with a little bit of luck, but I went with Ayuk, and I took a chance on Myers, knowing that Devontae was going to get all the coverage, and I knew Myers was going to you know be have that matchup, and obviously my stud of the year, other than CeeDee Lamb, was Kyron Williams when he was in there. It's
Great,
I mean
great
I
draft
drafted
pick.
him. I
Great.
drafted him in the 13th round, and you know
Not
that
why not Cam
I have to.
Akers? Why not Cam Akers? No,
He
no.
was on my no draft list. No draft left. I said it that day. I will not draft him for nothing. I don't care what round it is. And I actually, like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and say I knew Kyron Williams was what he is, but it's one of those things. Like I think we've had it in the past, like the Trent Richardsons, the Eddie Lacy's, you can kind of get lucky, I did with, hey, I don't really like that guy. Like, even though he's a starter, he's not that great. I'm going to draft his backup because something's going to happen there. And that's pretty much what I did. I drafted Kyrie Williams more because I hated Cam Akers versus I thought Kyrie Williams was the top 5 back. So I kind of got
Nick,
that one.
I was going to ask you, dude, like, did you see something in college or in the preseason that led you to draft Kyron Williams? Because, I mean, like, the amount of leagues that he was actually drafted in, 12-man leagues, is like, it's pretty minimal. Was there something you saw in him before the draft that made you draft him, or was it just the hate of Cam Akers?
I would have to say most of it was the hate of Cam Akers. I didn't like his drama. There was already rumbling here and there from the previous years. And I just never, even when he was like good, I don't know what it is. I can't really pinpoint it. I was just like, he's not that good. Like, I didn't like him. Like, I just didn't like him. When I watched the Rams, I didn't think he fit well. And yeah, obviously, you see the backups always do pretty decent preseason, but I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, I saw it in preseason. Like, he was going to be a stud. Like, I would just be, talking out of my ass with that. Like,
It really,
with you guys, it was mostly because I didn't like Cam Akers. And like I said, it's happened before, like, and I brought up other, like Eddie Lacy and Trent Richardson stuff. There's guys that, like, they put up these numbers and they look good. Najee Harris was another one this year, right? Like, he ended up kind of doing better than everybody thought, because everybody thought Jaylen Warren was going to take over that spot like 100%, and he never gave him that opportunity, even though there was a spot for Jaylen Warren there. Najee still kept it,
Look, what makes me upset about that situation is that people nowadays are using that style with their voting, okay? They hate somebody else, and that's why they take the other guy. And I'm happy that it worked out for you, Nick, in this situation, okay? But with that, Jake, I want to pass it on to you. A little bit different. You commission a standard league. So it's a little bit different. So is there something else other than how Nick kind of managed his league? That's my favorite, is having consistency across the board. But Jake, it's a little bit different in the standard league. How did you manage it this year? In your 9th year, your first league, you finally win, buddy. Congratulations.
Thanks. And yeah, it was like, I'm not gonna lie, as like corny as it sounds or whatever, like it was, I got kind of emotional with it. Like, I really did. Not like broke to tears or nothing, but like, there's a lot of shit talkers in this league. I've taken a lot of shit over the years. I've tanked seasons with bad trades. Like this was my league that I learned growing up, but the other growing into fantasy, but the league that I was also very my second longest running league is Nick's league. So Nick, to see you win, congrats, because I'll be honest, like, as much as we all want to tout our own leagues, like, Nick, with your brothers, I mean, and then the guys that make my league really competitive, like Drew and Ben, and I mean, your league is tough. And so I'm really happy for you that you won. And Andrew, I think if I go look back at my league history and stuff, you're still I think you have the highest average finish since I've been there. So you had a down year, but you'll be back. It seemed like every year you were a lock for that semifinal shit. So down year, you can afford it. You have kids to blame and stuff, so you'll be back. So
next year, he won't draft Cam Akers. He'll be all right.
So being having my time in the sun with this, to be champ before, since I've been in this league, Richie hasn't been champ. And Richie talks a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So when Sunday night hit, I was just live it up, because it's hard. It's going to be hard to win in this league, As far as the standard league goes, I don't know. It's tough, because it's CeeDee Lamb helped me as much as he helped Nick. I'm in a standard league. Nick's in a full point PPR. Unless you find that gold mine guy, David Montgomery helped. It was probably, besides CeeDee Lamb, David Montgomery probably helped me more than anybody else. Austin Eckler was my first round pick. He finished as the 27th running back. DK Metcalf was my third round pick. You know, his touchdowns were what saved me a lot of the week and made him relevant and what, you know, helped me win a lot of the week. So those kind of guys, those touchdown guys, are a little bit bigger, you know, in standard, and those guys really help me, as opposed to like a PPR where they're gonna be more average than, you know, a guy that's getting, you know, 6, 7, 8, you know, passes a game. So, but I'm, you know, as we've talked about before, moving forward, you know, I'm looking more to those mid-round running backs that are in timeshares, you know, you know, I never think, like, for example, I guarantee you Jahmyr Gibbs is going to go real high in drafts next year. I don't think that guy, as long as Dan Campbell's coach, is ever going to get more than 50% of the snaps, you know, because he's a guy that's not built to have 70% of the snaps in the NFL. He's a guy that they're going to keep fresh, design specialty plays for, and utilize in that way. I'm not going to draft a guy that's, you know, that way. You can find that in later rounds, like Nick did with Kyron Williams. But anyway, it's a hard mix from PPR to standard league, because you're saying, well, yeah, you got to find the guys that get more touchdowns, but nobody thought Raheem Mostert was going to get the touchdowns that he did. You know, it's a tough thing. I would say in a standard league, look for players that are on good offenses. We know what offenses are good. Gus Edwards would be a great guy to have in a standard league, right? Like, you know, we know he's going to get those goal line work and things like that. PPR, you know, Chris Olave was great in PPR. I had him in I was in another championship in James Miles league. Chris Olave was great. In a standard league, I don't think he did very much for the owner in a standard league, because I don't think he had very many. He had like 6 touchdowns or something like that. So anyway, but yeah, it was a great week, and Nick, I'm happy for you. I really am. Like, it's such a monkey off the back.
Yeah.
And Ben, you know, for your championship, it's fucking hard to win championships. I'm in 6 fucking leagues, and this is the first time I ever got to 2 of them. You know, like, it's fucking hard. So live it up, enjoy it.
Here's our spreadsheet.
All right, the spreadsheet.
For my league. Andrew's left. Papa's never even played, so I don't have no faith in Papa.
Oh,
Andrew's never won it. Andrew's been runner-up twice, so like Jake said, like, Andrew, you're always up there. You finished twice.
And it's the same in my league. So I mean, Andrew is like multiple league fucking balancing guy. Like, Andrew's always a scary fucking guy in fantasy.
You know, Ben won it. You know, Jake's won it. Obviously, like you mentioned, my brother's run it 3 times. You know, so Damien was in the championship this year. He's won it, runner-up twice. So yeah, we have a super competitive league, and that's what I love the most. And that's why I am pretty proud to finally win and get that monkey off my back, because it's not just some Joe Schmo league. Like, this is legit. Everybody in this league right here, like, takes it serious. And so, yeah, you gotta come with your knowledge, and you gotta make sure you know, like I said, when it comes to like this, sometimes you gotta get a little lucky, you know, like, hopefully you don't get the injury bug, and hopefully, you know, things like that, the stuff that are out of your control. But ours is so draft dependent, and that's what I love about it. And our draft days are always the best, but it means so much to the rest of the year. And
always the funnest draft day. Always.
Yeah, I just wanted to share. Hopefully, I don't want it to be, because hopefully I do it back to back. But Drew, you're next, buddy. You got to get on that board.
You are next, Drew, and thank you for your waiting, Drew. It's our fantasy seasons are now over. Okay, but it's not over for everybody. Okay, for instance, Christian McCaffrey is already pronounced out for week 17 or week 18, correct? And so there's still people out there that are gonna go play their fantasy football championships. I don't understand it. I think it's for a lot more rookie type leagues, because you should know you shouldn't really have a championship game in that last. You know, we've been doing long enough. All of us have been doing it long enough now to know that's just killer, right? To have your championship game in the last game of the season when all the good teams sit their dudes. And so, do you have anybody out there for the people that need somebody, the people that have Christian McCaffrey, the people that have Tyreek Hill? What the freak do these guys do to solidify their championship?
I think Tyreek Hill should still play. I mean, as far as I know, but I mean, obviously the go-to would be Elijah Mitchell. I mean, for once he's actually healthy back-to-back weeks, so he should be somebody that if you don't have, I mean, hopefully if you have McCaffrey, you already have Elijah Mitchell. If you're going into a fantasy run, I mean, that's only kind of like common sense. Try to get him and acquire him. But I mean, other than that, I mean, Jordan Mason might get a few touches if Jordan Mason's on the waiver. But if you lose McCaffrey, I mean, and you're in your championship week and you're in week 18, it's good luck. You know, like you're not going to really find somebody that's going to give you that value that McCaffrey had. And I think that's why a lot of people that had McCaffrey, even though like what 50+% of people who had McCaffrey were in the championship, which is absurd. But guarantee a lot of those people probably lost because McCaffrey didn't have much of a game, you know. So it just sucks, you know. You got your bell cow that gets you all the way there, and then unfortunately he had a little bit of a calf strain, and the Niners already kind of said that he's going to be out this week, and I'm sure they're going to rest up a few more players, but you know it's always tricky when you have the number 1 seed and you already clinched it. It's like, who do you want to play? Do you want to have these guys take basically like almost 3 weeks off before they play again, you know? So it's tough. It's going to be hard for Kyle Shanahan, but you know, if anybody gets hurt, you know, then everybody's going to ridicule the hell out of Kyle Shanahan. But then again, you don't want to get these guys to have a bunch of rust going to the playoffs. So it's, you know, it's one of those things where they're going to have to manage it. But fantasy implications, I mean, I don't really have any much advice. I mean, hopefully you have another backup, or you can put somebody in a flex that, you know, can somewhat give you a boom or bust play. Like, my whole thing is like, if you know you're a big underdog, look to go see if you have a boom or bust player. Like a guy like Gabe Davis. Like, I know it's ugly, but Gabe Davis can pop off. You know what I mean? They're in a must-win game. Like, the Bills have the most outrageous scenario going into this next week. Like, they can either be in the number 2 seed or they can be out of the playoffs, like, potentially. So it's just like, it's wild. So I think you want somebody that's having to play for their season, you know, like somebody who's going to put their balls to the wall and sack up and try and go get somebody like that in the waiver if that's the case that you have.
I think I have an answer for people's week 18 fantasy championship. It's in the backo Flacco. Holy shit. What is happening, Jake, with this guy? We saw your rant last week with Flacco on the bench. Like I said, maybe he keeps it up. I don't know. We'll find out. But, dude, I think that's a good pick that you can go with if you're missing your quarterback. You know, why not take a flyer on Joe Flacco?
He's on my bench. He's on my bench in like 5 leagues, so I don't know where people are going to find him. If he's not on somebody's bench right now, like I don't know where you're going to find him. But you know,
I remember if say like you were saying, if you have McCaffrey, look at your opponent. Okay, your opponent might have Lamar Jackson. Your opponent might have, like, you can also play defense. You know, go get the top rated quarterback if your opponent's got Lamar. You know, you're probably playing somebody who made it, who's also resting players. You know, McCaffrey's not the only Niner. You know, the Baltimore's resting, the Chiefs are resting. You know, maybe they have Kelsey or Mahomes. Like, you can also play defense. You know, and go pick up a guy that you're, you know, that the guy you're going up against is going to go get, because his guys are on a bye too. So you got to really look at your matchup and see what they're going to try to pick up. And depending on where you guys fall in the waivers, maybe you can play spoiler that way. So you don't have to technically pick up a stud, but you pick up the guy that he's going to put in. And therefore you are making up points that way, looking at your opponent's roster as well.
The matchup does make a play this late. I got to say, to make my championship in my 10-team league. Shut up, Seth. I know you're over there talking smack, and I'm sorry for the past, okay? But I had to make the choice to sit both Jamari Chase and DJ Moore. DJ Moore went off. It's a PPR league, but I sat them both for James Conner and Pacheco. And that was huge because of the matchups. I ended up scoring 30-plus more points because of that decision. I was nervous as hell, but it came through. I made the risk, and it came through. But like I said, good luck to those people who are in a championship league for Week 18. It's going to get ugly, but hopefully somehow you have drafted well enough, or you have filled in your spots well enough to cover for that. If you're a real fantasy owner and a real manager, you already covered Week 18. You knew that was going to be a problem. You saw that coming. You anticipated it, and you already made that moves to roster if you're a true owner for that type of league. Okay, so
If you're an owner and you're in fantasy week 18, you're not playing fantasy football. You're just, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, hold on. Not
I
true.
get Winston's league. That's still stupid.
I'm in Winston's league, so
It's still
we
dumb.
have one more week. I'm playing for third. I lost the semi.
Oh man,
A little bittersweet because I'm gonna put this out there for fantasy owners. I made a mistake, even though I won one league. Right? Just that doesn't mean you make the perfect move every week. I had Cole Kmet. Okay, he had the knee. I was gonna drop him. For Darren Waller, but we only have 2 bench spots, so there's this whole. And I already have Keenan Allen and Jalen Warren on my bench. So I'm like, okay, what if I win this week? Am I really gonna ride? Because Cole Kmet's been going off, right? So I had this whole conundrum, and I was like, man, he was limited Friday, and then he was cleared to play. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna ride with him because Darren Waller was available. No one had picked him up yet after he came back from his injury. So if he was not gonna play, and I wish the Bears would have just sat his ass, I would have picked up Waller. In that league, just so you guys put in perspective, I scored 345 points. Okay, we start 18 people, 6 defenders. The points are crazy. So, just to put it in perspective, I scored 345. I lost by 11 points, which is basically losing by like 1 point.
Wow.
Okay, like 11 points in Winston's league is nothing. Cole Kmet gave me a goose egg. Darren Waller had 15 points on free agency. I would have won and been in another championship next week if I would have just made the move and not waited and did all, like, I should have just known. Did not practice. Limited Friday. Even if he did play, like, it was probably going to be limited. So I made a big fantasy manager mistake there. Huh?
Was he inactive before the game started?
No. He played. And they only used him and, like, run blocking plays. And, like, he had no targets and, like, nothing. So he played. That's why I kept him in. Like, I was watching. I'm like, all right, Cole Kmet's active. Justin Fields has been playing good. That offense looks decent. He only passes to Cole Kmet and DJ Moore. So, like, Cole Kmet had been killing it for me. Like, he in that league is, good. And so that's why I was so hesitant to drop him, because I was also looking to the next week. Because I needed to drop him completely. I couldn't keep him on my bench, which is why this league makes it tricky. You have to make those hard decisions, and I couldn't make that hard decision. And because I didn't want to rely on Waller for this week and the championship next week. Again, if he would have been inactive, that's an easy move. But the fact that he was active Sunday morning, I didn't make that move, and lost by 11 points. And so now I'm playing for third, which sucks. But that league is crazy. It goes into week 18. I got Christian McCaffrey, so he ain't playing and all that stuff. So that was another league. To be honest, I lost by 11 points, and Christian McCaffrey is one of my big players. So Christian McCaffrey gets 11 points just by on the sideline. He gets 11 points in that league. Like, he averages like 40 something points a week in Winston's league. So the fact that he got hurt and everything, the Cole Kmet thing might have not even mattered, or shouldn't have mattered, if Christian McCaffrey plays a whole game. But
no, it is what it is. I like how you say that, Nick. We still make mistakes as well. Last week, I got second place in my other championship because I sat Mr. Puka Nacua. Oh my God. And I'm still feeling it. But we want to move on to the next part. I want to say thank you for Jesus and Seth for joining us. Sorry, Jesus, for all your woes and listening to the SportsRanter for not winning. Seth, congratulations for getting third place with your adoptive team. I appreciate you guys joining us here every week, but also want your input on what happened this weekend with the Lions and Cowboys game. We have a lot of different styles of hosting on our show. We have Nico, Mr. Analysis, and the Truth. Guys like me who think the league is a little bit rigged sometimes, and I think we saw that on, I forget what day it was Thursday, but Nick had a good breakdown. Everybody says it's a mistake. No, after that you say that you pre-did this during the game, and you run away from the people who are reporting, and you make the play happens, and then after the fact you discuss it and say no. I'm sorry, dude, but that was ridiculous. I know Jake didn't get a chance to see exactly what happened, but Andrew, let's start off with you. What the hell happened?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is the. I mean, they were kind of trying to be tricky about it, but the whole point is, and I think the biggest thing is what Nick mentioned prior to the show when we were all on, is that Dan Campbell went over the play prior to the game with the officiating crew and let him know, hey, like, this is something that we're going to plan to do, and it's one of those things where I think as an official, you just get so tired of the same thing over and over again. Hey, I'm going to report. Hey, I'm going to report. And so the official's probably like, all right, we already know you're going to report. I don't care. He just started wandering off back to the sideline, and it's one of those things where I don't know how they're going to be able to change that scenario. Obviously, at the end of the day, if you're an offensive lineman and you know you're going to be eligible to potentially catch a pass, you're not going to go out there and be like, oh, I'm going to catch a pass, guys. I'm going to catch it. Like, you want to kind of be somewhat subtle about the situation. And so, but yeah, I don't really know what the Lions could have done better or what, like, obviously they could have made it a little more clear. But I mean, looking at all the tape that we saw, all the things that we saw, like Taylor Decker definitely looked like he reported. He definitely went to the official and said something to the official. So it's just tough, man. Like it's hard. I don't know how they're going to go about it going forward. But the thing I will say that didn't make any sense to me is, okay, cool. You get that play. It doesn't happen. It gets called back. Then you get the next play. You get a flag, right? You're going to go back to the 7-yard line. At that point, like, why not just kick the field and go to overtime? Like, I get the fact that you want to go for the win. I get it. But it's like, dude, at the 7-yard line, obviously they know you're going to pass. It's like, just, I get Dan Campbell's a very aggressive coach, you know what I mean? But even prior to this debacle, when they went for the fake punt, you guys will probably remember the fake punt, right? They still went, like, you didn't even get points out of that fake punt because you went for it on 4th down again and you failed. So it's like, at some point, it's just like Brandon Staley and the Chargers. You got to stop being so aggressive. You got to take points when they're available. When the points are available, you take the points. And it's not like Dallas was shredding them. Like, their defense was in the game. Like, I get you're in Dallas and they've been undefeated at home this year and you want to go for the kill. But at the same time, you got to be a little more aware as a coach, and I'm not saying it's all on Dan Campbell and that's the way that he managed it was bad, because obviously the officiating crew was terrible as well. And if you guys remember the Chiefs game and the Packers game, when we had the conversation on this show about how bad the defensive pass interference call was, well, guess what? That was Brad Allen as well. So this officiating crew has pretty much destroyed 2 games this season. And, I mean, I'd be shocked if they're in the playoffs. There's no way that.
No, I think I read an article saying the NFL said they will not be in a playoff game.
Yeah, Nick, you're right.
I mean, dude, you botched not only 1 game but 2 games, and the way that they ended, and it's just that's ridiculous. And I always liked Brad Allen as a referee, but yeah, this year it's been.
I don't know all the details, but if you don't report, does that make you not eligible for that? Or
Correct.
Okay, so that's part of the rule.
So the other rule is you could only have 1 lineman report.
Right.
Okay? So you can't say, 68 and 70 and 72 are eligible, because you can put 8 linemen out there and say, the extra 3 linemen are eligible. You can't do that. It's against the rules. You could have 1 lineman with the numbers, whatever, the number range 50 through whatever and 90 through something. If they wear that number jersey, you can have 1 guy report and then be eligible to catch a pass. So the ref had reported that 70, when he ran to the line, had told the Cowboys that 70 is reporting, and really 68 was the one reporting.
Does this kind of not, like, going back to the Kadarius Toney play, like, he was offside. He didn't check. He didn't make sure. Like, the Lions have been running this where 70 was eligible the whole game and this and that. Like, ultimately, it's up to them to make sure that the ref knows who is reporting eligible and who is not reporting eligible. So they could do it all game and this and that. And hey, at the end, we might call this player this. that play, whatever. But at the end of the day, like if the ref walks away and he doesn't know that 68 is reporting eligible and 70 is not, like ultimately, it's up to the Lions to make sure that they know, even if it makes it look obvious or whatever the case may be. Like I know they're trying to disguise it, but back to what Andrew said, like when you get the penalty, like I don't know, like the Lions have already locked up the division, so they're already going to get a home game in the playoffs, and their chances of getting a first round bye were slim to none. Like kick the extra point. Like you're already you're back 5 yards or whatever it was, 10 yards. Like kick the extra point, go to overtime. But then, like, I know that I don't know if it's an arrogance thing, or I don't know if he was literally just like, hey, it's either win or done. We're not, I really think Dan Campbell was satisfied. Hey, we clinched the division. We have a home playoff game. Like, we're not going to go play overtime and risk guys getting hurt. We're going to go for it now, or that's it. Like, to me, that's more like feasible. Like, that's kind of more what yes, you can be upset. Like, they ran a play that won the game, but dude, you got to make sure your guy reports. Like, just like you got to make sure your guy's not offside. Just like you got to make sure your guy doesn't false start. Just like you got to make sure your guy doesn't hold. Like, it's ultimately up to you. Like, the referee ran away. Like, you saw the guy running onto the field and shit. Like, I don't know. It just, you got to make sure that the referee knows. And
it's just tough, Jake, because 68 walks over there and the ref kind of just ignores him and runs away. And then you got the play clock thing, right? It's not like you just have all the time in the world. You have the play clock like going down, and then like again, I would love to hear the audio. That's the part, like right. Jake saying, like, doesn't make sense. What did you really say, 68? Like, what did the ref say? Did he say okay? Did he say got you? Did he say, what? That's the part that's missing.
See,
and I don't.
The thing is, though, like, was 68 the guy running onto the field at the time the ref ran away? It was 70, right? Okay. Correct. So if 68's already on the field, maybe 70 is coming in with the play or whatever, but you're going to run that play. Like, that's a big play. Like, you're
they're in the huddle. Jared Goff points to 68, and he says, hey, go report. He tells him, go report to the ref.
Right.
And then he walks from the huddle to go report, and simultaneously 70's running on, and the ref just kind of like, all right, 70's reporting and runs. So it's just a weird situation. I kind of want to go on, though, and I think we've talked about it before, and it needs to get addressed, is the NFL needs to get full-time refs. Like, I don't understand this $7 billion industry can't pay these guys full-time to focus, to watch more film, to not go get another job in the offseason, right? Bring them all in the offseason and have them watch film and have them, run drills and, whatever, just so that, again, just like anything else, it's reps. I get it. They're human, and I don't ever like to blame the refs, even though I'm a Raider fan, but they're human beings. They're going to make mistakes. They're not going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean you can't improve. You can't like try to make the situation better. And by not having these guys full time, by not paying them the salaries that every good ref that we get now, do you know where they are? They're all with networks, all of them. Why? Because CBS says I'll pay you more. Fox says I'll pay you more. Like head of officiating, look, Dean Blandino and Scott or Mike Pereira Rick. And like all those guys, they all leave. Like ESPN's got their guy, CBS has got their guy, a couple guys, Fox. These are all 20, 25-year veterans who should be running the NFL referee commission. But every time they go to retire, every time the networks just pay them more because they're only paying these guys $75,000 a year to be part-time. They all have off-season jobs, and it doesn't make any sense and so the NFL, as fans and stuff, I don't know, it should be more of an uproar to like, hey, we're tired of these refs costing all these games, and there's nothing trying to improve the ref situation. All they keep
It's
trying
just-
to prove is a stupid replay, and it keeps getting worse in my mind. By they're just trying to like watch replay and extra slow-mo to see if they see one blade of grass, and that's how they make a call. That's not what I'm trying to fix. We want to fix the obvious things. We want to fix the obvious things.
See, I don't
practice and reps.
That's a great point, because the network should have no control of who is officiating an NFL game. You know, does that make sense? You know, it shouldn't be by network or by the TV. It should just be, like you say, Nick, a full-time NFL referee. Why the networks have anything to do with who is refereeing?
You know what I mean by that is that head referees are leaving the NFL and
to go get network
working
jobs
for the network.
Right.
So when a play happens, right, when you're watching the game, ban, and they go, "Hey, Dean Blandino, what do you think?" He's just sitting there working for Fox, getting paid loads of money to give his opinion on 3 plays.
Dean Blandino should be getting paid by the NFL to be on the field, not by the network twice as much.
Being the head of officiating or running the entire department, or Mike Pereira or one of those guys should be running the department, grading the refs, talking to the refs after every game, like doing that whole portion to make the refs better, not sitting at a desk waiting for a challenge flag to come and analyzing 3 plays for Fox. But again, Fox pays them more. So
I don't know if this was. I don't feel like this was a huge. So I'm watching the game and I'm in a bar and so I can't hear the audio, and then I mean it was a busy weekend, so I didn't have a lot of time for the analysts to break it down and stuff. But this doesn't seem like a huge botch by the referees. It seems like, if you got guys coming in reporting eligible, I don't know, put a microphone or something into the head referee's headset that he can talk, with the head coach, where the head coach can say, "Hey, on this play, I got so and so eligible. I got so and so eligible," or whatever the case. But it doesn't seem like a huge botch. Again, I feel like the burden of proof falls more on the team that's switching in and out guys that are eligible every play. And if a referee, there's 5, 6 of them on the field or whatever, but if one happens to get away and you don't catch his ear, it's up to you to let him know. But that's what it seems like to me, so
it's kind of like they almost kind of like wanted to trick the Cowboys, having those 3 guys go all there at once. Definitely was kind of like a trick thing that they definitely wanted to have happen, but it ended up costing them. Like if one person goes and reports, there's no issue, and obviously, but when you have a big huddle of guys trying to go report, it's hard to initiate, especially when the referee, the referee's been saying that 70's been reporting all game. Like you automatically just assume that it's going to be 70, and so it makes it really hard for an officiating. Obviously there's 60,000 people on the edge of their seat. This is basically the do or die moment of the game. You're on the basically as the team that's going to try to score. They're on the road, so that crowd is roaring, thundering loud. You're not going to hear everything crystal clear, and you just kind of go with what you've been going with all game. When you have a huddle of people coming at you, I mean, it's human nature as a referee to assume that's what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that everything is concrete and in the right way. But so it's all refs too.
Here's the thing that doesn't make sense, and I get that, I understand that, but he runs away from 68, and 70 is not even close to him yet.
Right, it's like 5-6 yards away.
That's the part where it doesn't make sense, and where the referee blunder is. You could not assume who, especially like we've already talked about, they've already went over a play that they might have a play where 68 is going to report, especially on a crucial play. You could not then, dude, 70 is barely running on the field. He's 10 yards from the ref, and he turned around and darts. Now, if 70 would have went all the way up to the ref with 68, right, and then the ref goes away, Jake, you're completely right. You guys need to make sure you told the ref, hey, 68's reporting, not 70. But the fact that the ref just saw 70 out of the corner of his eye, turned around and darted, 70 never said anything. 70
so
never
Nick,
went up to him.
My question
So,
is, and
why
this
are
is
you assuming that? You can't assume. I get it's human nature. You cannot assume. You don't get paid to assume. You get paid to make the calls as they come your way.
my question is, and this is a genuine question. This is not like playing devil's advocate, is because you explained this to me like I'm just learning this. If 68 is with the referee, okay, like why did he not have time to say, "Hey, I'm reporting eligible"? Because you said only one person can say, only one lineman can say, "I'm reporting eligible" at a time. He was with the referee the whole time. Why did the referee walk away from 68 not knowing that 68 was eligible? Like,
So
were they waiting? They were waiting for 70 to get there to make it like.
It happens all really fast, Jake. It happens all really. So what happens is 68's in the huddle. Okay.
Okay.
68, another lineman, Jared Goff says, "Go report." The ref is,
Right.
5 yards away. They're just standing there like they always stand. He says, "Go report."
Right.
He turns around, and him and the other lineman, to try to trick the Cowboys, they both walk, but only 68's going to report. But they both kind of turn to walk. And as they're walking towards the ref, he's about a step or two away from the ref. He hasn't even got to the ref yet. That's when you see 70 come into the screen. He's running, and then 68 hasn't even stopped yet. 68 hasn't even got completely up to the ref. I don't know if he just said, "Hey, I'm reporting," or whatever. Obviously, they're within, talking distance, but it's not like he was chilling there with the ref for a minute. And then, no, he's still walking towards the ref as well. Like I said, he's like a step away. 70's coming, and then the ref just darts away. And that's why it all happened so fast. And that's why I'm like, wait, 68's, a step and a half away from the ref. He's saying he reported, which obviously he said something to the ref. And 70's 5 yards away, and the ref just assumes it's 70 that's reporting and not 60.
Well, look, guys, like always, we can go about this and rant about this for hours. I'm sure we could. But unfortunately, for the sake of time, we got to cut it, and maybe we can extend this into next week's show at 6 p.m. as we finalize the NFL season going into the NFL playoffs. I'm sure we can talk about all that as well. But like I said, I'd like to say congratulations to Nico for winning the league again. I want to say congratulations to Jake as well for both you guys getting that monkey off the back as commissioners in your league. Drew, don't worry. I'm sure you're going to make your comeback, but you do have another kid coming on the way. So we'll see. But
I'll focus on the kids.
I'll be praying for you. But I want to say thank you to Jesus. Thank you for Seth for filling up our comment space here. You guys are awesome. Until next time, you guys. All right. Peace be the journey.
Next week,
see you guys.
We'll get into the playoff matchups next week, and we'll talk about how the Eagles are fucking dog shit.
Terrible. It's Niners and Ravens.
Love you guys. Take it easy. See you next week.
Later, guys.